Have you ever had that feeling that you're kind of stuck? You know, like you're living the same day over and over again. You're safe, you're sound, but you also feel just a little bit trapped. Well, we're going to dive into that today because we're exploring this really strange paradox of comfort, how the very thing our brains are built to want can actually become this beautiful, gilded prison. So I want you to just keep this question in the back of your mind as we go. Seriously, what if that cozy routine, that predictable, comfortable life you've worked so hard to build, is the very thing holding you back from something more? All right, first things first, let's be super clear about something. Loving comfort is completely 100% normal. It's a fundamental part of being human. We are all wired to seek out what's familiar, what's easy, and what we already know. This isn't some character flaw, it's just our instinct. And I mean, why wouldn't we love it? Think about it. Comfort feels safe. It's predictable, which gives our brains a much-needed break from having to figure everything out all the time. It lets us rest and recover, and it helps us build routines that make life feel manageable. These are all genuinely good things. This is the foundation of our gilded cage, and it's built with materials we actually want and need. Okay, so let's peel back the layers a little and get into the science of it. Why does our brain crave comfort so intensely? Well, it all comes down to this fundamental survival mechanism, kind of like a built-in safety switch that's always on. And that brings us to this key concept, uncertainty avoidance. You see, on a deep biological level, your brain's fear center, the amygdala, sees anything new or unknown as a potential threat. It's this ancient primal instinct that basically goes, hey, better safe than sorry, and it hardwires you to stick with what you know over trying something new. And this whole protective process plays out in this almost instant three-step loop. So picture this, you run into something new, maybe a chance to switch careers or an opportunity to speak in public. The very first thing your brain does is slap a big, risky label on it. And from there, it just floods you with reasons to back away, to retreat to what feels familiar and safe. It's this constant subconscious process that's just trying to protect you from what it sees as danger. But, and this is the huge turning point, what happens when that protective instinct works a little too well? There is such a fine line between taking a rest and getting stuck in a rut. And it's so easy to cross it without even realizing it. And here, you can really see the two faces of comfort. On one side, you have all the good stuff, safety, peace, recovery. We need those things. But when that comfort zone starts to harden, it morphs into something totally different. Safety becomes avoidance, peace becomes stagnation, and recovery becomes limitation. The very walls that were meant to protect you now just box you in. And this is what that confinement actually feels like day to day. Your brain starts to see any new opportunity not as something exciting, but as something that's just inherently risky and should probably be avoided. And then the very idea of change starts to feel overwhelming. Your brain frames it as this massive, draining effort, which makes staying right where you are feel so much easier, so much more appealing. And finally, you get to the most dangerous stage of all. Personal growth itself starts to feel threatening. And why is that? Well, because growth is the ultimate uncertainty, right? It requires you to become someone new, and to your brain's little safety switch, that is the biggest threat it can imagine. Now, if any of this is sounding familiar, it is so easy to start labeling yourself as lazy or unmotivated or just not trying hard enough. But I want to offer you a completely different way of looking at this, a reframe for why you might feel so stuck. This right here is the absolute key. Let this sink in. Feeling stuck is not a moral failing. It is not laziness, it is often just your brain's ancient survival hardware doing its job too well in a modern world where, let's be honest, most uncertainties are not actually life-threatening, it's just overprotecting you. So what on earth do we do about this overactive security system in our heads? Well, the way out doesn't start with some huge dramatic leap. It actually begins with something much quieter, but it is without a doubt the most important step of all, simple awareness. So let's put it all together. Here's what you really need to take away. First, that desire you have for comfort, it's a biological drive, not some personal weakness. Second, that powerful protective drive can become overactive, and it can shrink your world without you even realizing it. And third, the single most powerful thing you can do to change is to just start recognizing this pattern as it happens. It's that moment you hear yourself saying, nah, I'm too tired, or oof, that's too risky. And you can just pause and ask yourself, wait, is that really true, or is that just my brain trying to keep me inside the cage? That simple act of recognition, that is everything. So, I'll leave you with this final thought. Your comfort zone is safe. Yes, it's predictable. It is, by definition, comfortable. But what growth, what new opportunities, what different version of your life is just waiting for you, right on the other side of that fear? What are you missing out on, just beyond the bars of your cage?